then do let me know. Lovely. Okay, so here we are, we're on our mats. Let's start with tiptoes and heels. So we'll just begin with the hand, feet and mouth reflex, and just starting with the feet, lifting the toes a couple of times off the ground, and then feeling the heels rocking off, tiptoes and heels, tiptoes and heels. And we're just getting into this nice sway, feeling the rhythm of it, and really trying to start to tune into the lovely rhythm. Trying to see if you can get all the work to happen just with your feet. So just relax the arms, relax, and you can feel the muscles in the calves and the shins beginning to warm up. And it's when you can really feel them sort of begin to be present. The sensations in them are quite strong. That's usually the right time then to bring it to stillness. Lovely, so let's just see how you are. You might want to carry on a little bit longer, but if you are starting to feel a little bit of strain in those calves, then let's just let the feet land, taking a breath in, and as you breathe out, just let them sink down. And just tune in with how the feet and the legs feel. Good, and then we're going to start to circle. So we start on the heels, we go to the edges of the feet, to the front, to the sides, to the heels and around. And just see how that is. And then we'll go the other way at some point. We're going to have to concentrate a little bit with this one to try and feel that weight distribution so that it is all coming from the feet as much as possible. And then bringing it back to the center of that circle. And again, allowing the feet to relax, taking a breath in. And as you breathe out, letting those feet sink in. And we're really starting to get that sense of feet, calves, shins now a lot more. Okay, so coming to the front of the mat. We'll give the hands a bit of a rub. So we just got that awareness. Just as the feet coming into the hands as we prepare for the sun salutation. And as you're rubbing the hands, just have a quick check-in with your jaw and your mouth and just make sure that it's not holding. So try and let it go a little bit. Let that throat become slack. Lovely. And then hands come by the side and just a moment of feet and hands and face. Take a breath in. And as you breathe out, again in your awareness, feet and hands and face. Lovely. Good. So as you breathe in, turning the palms to face up towards the ceiling as if you were feeling the air passing through the fingers. Breathing in, we're looking up and we're opening out that throat. As you breathe out, bend the knees. It's nice and slow this first round. I'm just going to take it nice and easy. Let the chin tuck right in. And as you breathe in, looking up, flattening the back. When you're ready to breathe out, we're going to take one leg back and drop that knee down. And just leaning into that front leg. So we're giving this groin here a nice big stretch. Taking a few breaths in. It takes time, this groin. There's no point pushing through it. Just relax as much as you can. Take a breath in. When you feel ready, when you feel that something is shifted there, I'm going to bring the hands to the floor. So move the leg out of the way, however is comfortable for you, and bring the leg behind. And we're in a plank pose here. We're just going to hold it for as many breaths as it takes to get your heart beating, just a fraction. Now, if that's too much for your whole body even, or your wrists, then bring the knees to the floor and lean just slightly forward. So you can feel that sort of work happening, heart rate lifting. And when you've got a little bit of a skip there, we're going to come down onto the floor. Let the feet go flat and breathe in. We're going to look up and back, give that lower back a little bit of a squeeze, pull the mat towards you, breathing in. And then tuck the toes under as you breathe out. We're going to go into downward dog. Tucking the chin in. Remember, we're trying to close this thyroid up. And let the back of the neck really lengthen and the jaw relax. Taking a breath in and out. And as you breathe out, just relax as much as you can. It's early days, so don't worry too much. Whichever leg went backwards, it's going to be the same leg that comes forward. So drop the other knee and bring that leg towards the hands. If it doesn't quite reach your hands, that's okay. Come up and move the foot forward from a more upright position. It makes it easier, and then you can lean into the other groin here. And you can stay quite high if you want to with the hand on the knee. Or you can bring the hands to the floor, and that creates a stronger stretch there. And just again, we're letting it just warm up, taking a breath. Or 2 or 3, however many it takes for you to feel a little shift there. When you're ready, we bring the feet together. So tuck the toes under of that back foot and swing it forward, or find your way into a forward fold, chin tucked in, head dropping. Breathing in, opening out, the thyroid looking up. Breathing out, dropping the head back down. And as you breathe in, bringing the arms all the way up. Really stretching out of the armpits, because there's big glands in the armpits there that deserve a stretch. Looking up and back. And then bringing the hands down so that those thumbs land here on your thymus gland. And just giving that a really good massage. And if it has been a little bit clogged up, it can often be a little bit sore here. So a good massage just for a few moments is always good. Okay, let's start again. So this time we can flow a little bit more. We can go with the breath a little bit more. Body's a bit better warmed up, and we can add a few things to get a stronger stretch. So see how you feel. Breathing in. Let's bring the arms up, looking up and back. As you breathe out, forward fold. Tuck the chin in. Feel your feet and your hands wherever they land. Relax your jaw. Breathing in. Flattening the back. As you breathe out, other leg goes back. Drop the knee. You can stay here if that feels comfortable. If you want to work a bit harder, we can bring the arms up this time. So we're stretching out of those armpits, creating space in the armpits, looking up, opening that thyroid. Or an in-breath, or more if you want. And then we come into plank. So whatever way you decided you wanted to do plank, for as long as you feel you need to, so that the heartbeat rises just a little bit. And then we're dropping down and up into our cobra pose. Okay, and opening that thymus gland. So think about where you were rubbing. Bring the shoulders back and breathe into that space. And then we tuck the toes under into our downward dog. Letting the head go. Relax the jaw and let that relaxation feel as if you're letting your head drop. Taking a breath in. And as you breathe out, just relaxing. Just a few breaths there to feel that little bit of relaxation come in. And then whichever leg went back, it'll be the same leg that comes forward. Bringing it roughly level with the hands. Remember, you can adjust from a bit higher up. Leaning forward, using the arms if you wish to get that extra stretch in the glands underneath the armpits. Looking up. Thyroid nice and open. Forward bend is next. Letting the head drop, letting the arms drop, feeling where your feet are, where your hands are, how your neck and jaw are doing. Breathing in, looking up. Flattening the back as you breathe out, relax back down. In breath, bringing the arms by your sides all the way up and back. Forward, nice and open, hands together, and back to giving that thymus gland a little bit of a rub. Just for a few moments. Lovely. So this last round, I'm going to keep a little bit quieter. We're just going to try and follow our own breathing. Again, just tiptoes and heels a little bit. Let the feet hang down. Let the arms hang down. And when you're ready, you can just begin in your own time, starting with that in-breath. Let the breath lead you. So as the breath changes, your body starts to move. Coming back with one leg. You can use the arms if you wish. Holding the plank for as long as feels comfortable, and obviously we've done a few now, so you might be finding that it's not so long. Cobra comes next. Take your own time, follow your own breath. Whichever leg went back, it's that same leg. And as you find yourself just finishing that round and massaging that thymus gland, before we move on anywhere else, we're just going to feel our feet, our hands pressing against each other, any looseness in the jaw and the head. Just take a few breaths while everybody catches up here. So after all that movement, we're going to lie down just for a moment. This is the Shivananda side that I was talking about earlier, that tuning into the body and how it feels after all that movement. So if you just want to find yourself comfortably lying down, like so. And as the body begins to settle from all that exertion, you feel your heart rate is slightly up. The breath perhaps a bit deeper or a bit more regular than normal. Just begin to observe the process of the body calming. What happens? Perhaps you notice a change in the breath. Perhaps you notice a heaviness starting to come into the body, or an increase or a decrease of certain sensations. And just observing how the body calms. And then as the body settles down, quite easy to slip off into a nice relaxation. You can see how sometimes it just takes a sun salutation, and this observation of the body is often enough to get that vagus nerve to kick in. But because we're going to do a little bit more, we're going to start with tick-tock. So nothing too vigorous to begin with. So bringing the toes in towards each other for tick, and then letting go for tock. Tick, release. Tick, release. Tick, release. Again, just finding your own rhythm. Tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock. And just working at the rhythm that feels comfortable for you. And if your mind begins to wander off to other things, bring it back to this rhythm. So we're working our way up to the 2-minute mark, and we're about a minute and a half already. So you might find that already you feel a slight change in the nervous system function. Sometimes a deep breath comes in, sometimes a new sensation arrives. Just looking out for that so that you are aware of when the body's done its job. So when you feel ready, we're just about there. Let the legs go for a moment, and once again, just observing how those legs feel. Taking a photograph for later, just try to really internalize these sensations, memorize them. Now, when you feel ready to move again, we're going to roll over, and just to remind you, there is a nice specific way that I like to get class to roll over. So we're going to pull up one leg so that the sole of the foot is by the knee of the other leg. We're going to straighten, so we've got one straight leg, and we're going to straighten that arm as well. One leg, one side straight, one side bent. And we're going to turn that foot that's on the knee onto the floor. We're going to push on that foot and roll ourselves right over. Not quite got enough space, but onto our front. So that we can then go into the bottom roll. So we're going to have the head on the floor. Palms of the hands acting as a little pillow. And then we start rocking the bottom. And once again, we're finding our rhythm. So keep the head on your hands. The upper body is as still as possible. If you find that your shoulders are moving, lift your elbows just for a little moment. Get the motion in that lower half of the body, and once it's there, you can bring the shoulders back down. Again, we're working in a nice, steady rhythm, trying to keep our mind occupied with that rhythm. Relax your jaw. Have a moment to feel where the palms of the hands are, how the soles of the feet feel as you work. And again, you might observe a system change already. How there's a feeling of just not wanting to carry on, a little flush, an extra deep breath, the warmth spreading. We are coming now to the end of the 2 minutes. I'm just going to count down from 10 to finish. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and bringing it to stillness. And observing that response in the body. So just a few breaths there. It might take you a little bit longer, but if you feel like you have done plenty of observing for the time being, we can push ourselves into child pose. With the head on the floor, just to have a moment to breathe here. This is kind of our halfway house between our deep, relaxed state and having to sit up. So spend as much time as you need in that child pose. So the best way for me to know that you're ready to move on to do something else is to see you come back up. So I might not be able to see you completely, but sometimes I just get a foot in the camera. That says, okay, go back. So forward bend. So we're going to have a little bit of a stretch now. It seems quite sedentary, this what I did earlier this week, but it's not actually. It's the reason it is because we're going to lie down at the end of all of this. So we're just going to start off by trying to relax our legs back down. So we've got the arms in the air, and the purpose of this is just to have a little reach that helps us to put our legs and our bottom right down in the floor and release it. So take a couple of breaths here with that thought. My arms are lifting, but my legs are dropping. I'm letting them go as if I'm sinking into mud. There's a couple of breaths. And then, of course, when it all starts to get a little bit tiring with the arms, then we can start to lean forwards and bring the hands to wherever they will go, however far they will reach. Let the chin tuck in. And we're looking for exactly the same sensation now. So as you breathe out, just feel again the bottom and the legs sink into that warm mud. Now, instead of reaching with the hands, there's a little reach with the in-breath. So as you breathe in, you can feel the spine naturally reach. And as you breathe out, you sink down. So it's as if the upper body were a helium balloon, and with every breath it was lifting slightly. And with every out breath, it stays lifted because it's helium after all, but the legs drop. That relaxation, that lovely feeling after the bottom roll or the tick-tock, that memory is there to help us let it go. So just working for a few more breaths to really try to feel this, to integrate those two feelings, the feeling of lifting the upper body and the feeling of letting go of the legs. And of course, if the stretch starts to loosen, you can always give yourself a little bit more to work with. And curling the spine like a fern when you're ready. If you're enjoying yourself and you want to stay for another 10 minutes, nobody's going to stop you. So you just decide, we're going to roll, start to bring the leg up. So again, just to activate a little bit of the foot reflex, we're literally dragging this foot up the side of the leg really slowly. Towards the end, you might need to use your hand to bring it up as far as it will go, but keep that contact, that lovely feeling that comes up into the foot when you do that. If your hip is a bit sore, remember that you can have a support here. And again, we're going to put those legs down. So however strong the stretching going on in the hip, our aim is to release them. You can use the arms if you want. It's not necessary, but I find it really helpful to get that sense of lift. So you're breathing in just a couple of breaths to feel the upper part of the body lifting and the lower part of the body sinking. And once you've got that muscle memory there, then you can bring it into a forward fold stretch. And then try to recreate it, obviously not with the hands anymore, but with the spine this time. In breath, lifting, the out breath, sinking. That relaxation that you felt at the start after all those reflex moves, really helping here. If the mind wanders off, just keep bringing it back to this sense of breathing in, the upper body being light, expanding away from the lower body, and as you breathe out, the lower body sinking. Now you know what comes next, so when you need to swap sides, you decide when that is. You can slowly slide the foot down, because that's really very nice. So pre-birth reflex move, this one. And then of course bring the other foot up. Again, the slower this is done, the nicer it is. So really take your time when you swap the legs over. And then you know what's happening. You can use the arms to help lift the spine if you wish. Breathing in, putting down the legs after you've accommodated them. And then moving into that forward fold stretch. And working in exactly the same way. So just because the position of the body has changed, internally we're sort of feeling a similar sensation. Breathing in an expansion upwards, breathing out, letting the legs go, sinking them into that warm mud. And remember, if it hurts a lot, then pull back slightly. It doesn't need to be really strong stretching. A little bit at a time is enough. Sliding that foot down, when you're done. Really feel it touch the side of the leg. It's a really nice sensation. And just finishing, and just see what difference it has made, those stretches, to how we sit on the floor. Of course, if you struggle to sit upright, it is sometimes better to be sitting on a block, so do remember that. Okay, both hips together. Soles of the feet touching, hands on the feet. But before we actually go into a full stretch, we're just going to take a little bit of advantage of the warmth that we've stretched already just by circling here. And it can be just very tiny circles. It doesn't have to be big movements. Just to start to feel a little loosening in the pelvic bowl with the hip joint. Good. And of course, whichever direction we went in one way, we need to go the other way. Lovely. Bringing it back to the center. When you come to the center, really feel those sitting bones sink down into the floor. Take a breath in and feel the spine lift. It's almost natural now, that lift. You don't have to do anything for it to be there. And keeping that lovely lift, we're just going to lift the knees, just slightly. Again, it's only a centimetre or so, and then let them go. Lift and relax. Lift. And again, we're just getting this patterning of release into the hips, so that they too can feel like they're sinking into that mud. So once you feel you've got that, we can then bring this into a slight forward bend. It doesn't matter how far you go, so long as there's that stretch coming into the hips, the back of the hips. Pay attention a little bit to your feet and your jaw and your hands. Taking a breath in. And as you breathe out, relaxing. Sink those legs, those hips into that lovely mud. Or it might be sand, it could be whatever you want it to be. Memory foam mattress is another good one. I've heard people say they sometimes feel that. In breath, you've still got that slight lift, that lightness in the upper body. This is one of those poses that you could do for quite a while. Just taking a little bit at a time, just breathing and enjoying it. When you have finished, the really good tip is don't try and close the legs with your muscles. Instead, use the hands as if you were closing the pages of a book. And that way the hips stay nice and soft and relaxed as you stretch them. And then you can do a little bit of tick-tock here, it's quite nice too. Oh, we're back to the sitting posture, see how you feel. Great. So we're going to try and attempt to do a little bit of a back of the hip stretch. I'll go sideways for this one so you can see a little bit better. We're on hands and knees to begin with. And I'm going to bring my knee sort of roughly between my hands and turn that foot towards the hand. And then we're going to slide the leg backwards until we start to feel the stretch in the back of the hip. Now, if this isn't your stretch, there are better ways of doing this for some people. Okay, so if your hips are really, really tight, for example, you might want to do this one where you tuck one leg under and you bring this leg over. And that just gives you an alternative. There's still the same stretch here in the back of the hip. It's just slightly easier to do. So just saying. so while we're here, again, this takes time. Now you can stay right up here if you want to. If you want to work a little bit harder, we can come down onto elbows. If you interlace your fingers and point your thumbs up and then place them in, and it's going to be a bit difficult for you to see perhaps, but there is these little acupressure points just here. You follow the line of your skull, just above your eyes, and you find a little dent and you put the thumbs in there and you can sort of rest, and it gives that little bit of input there. Really good eye tension point. So you're in pigeon pose and you're resting the head. And obviously how much you rest the head is up to you. It's quite strong, so relax your jaw, feel your feet and your hands. Let the legs drop into that mud, breathing in. There's a slight lightness, a lengthening of the spine. It's happening naturally. Of course, everybody's threshold on this one is slightly different, so you do know what comes next. So make that decision yourself when you want to swap sides. So we're on back to hands and knees, bringing that knee, sliding that leg. So the back leg, I think, Imogen, I can see your back leg is a bit bent. It's actually straight. I don't know if you can see from it's straight leg. Right, that's it. And you're just trying to sit down. Now, obviously, what you could do is roll right over and then you lose the stretch altogether. So try and avoid that. Instead, just stay suspended or come down. Make your thumbs into those lollipop sticks and put them into those 2 points. Nice, deep breathing. So you can come out as you wish from that one. Quite easy, is just to roll onto that hip that's already near the floor and bring the leg that's behind you around to the front. We've got one more pose before we lie down and just feel into our legs. So just before we start, oh, look, we've stretched them quite a lot already and they're feeling even more in the mud than they were earlier, which is quite nice. So we're going to come forward. So this is just to try and get into a little bit deeper into the back of the pelvis. Okay, so this is what I call the mother's stretch. So childbirth does something to this part of the body and you kind of need to stretch it. So we're in a forward fold, but we cross the arms over. The bottom arm, whichever arm is there, drops down. So it's used as a leverage. And then you're going to sort of pretend to look under the other arm at the ceiling. So it's a forward bend and twist together. Now there's a lot going on in the body, so it's easy to forget the fundamentals, which is to relax your legs. To feel the spine lengthening as you breathe. And of course, becoming aware of the parts of the body that are getting a good old stretch there. Seeing how long you want to take that on for. It's easy to go onto the other side. All you're going to do is swap the arms around. Whichever arm's on the bottom goes on the top. Looking over that shoulder. Breathing in. Feeling that slight lengthening of the spine. As you breathe out, letting go into the floor. And if some of you have finished already, the next thing that's happening is lying down. So just have a moment if you are done. And that's not everybody. Some of us will need a few more breaths. But we are going to lie down next, just for that little observation moment that I spoke about. So as you lie down, last time we lie down, we were feeling the body cool off, slow down. Now we're observing the changes that the stretching that we've done have had on the body. Where can you feel the warmth, the residues of the bottom roll, the tick-tock, muscles that have been lengthened and released? Some of the lower back has been stretched a bit, but we can sort of sense there's still plenty to do for the spine. And of course, this is what we're going to do next. So just giving you the time that you need to make your observations, to enjoy any little bits that need to let go, letting go a little bit more. And when you're done, the only way I'm going to know is if you roll onto your side and bring yourself up to sitting, so that we can then move on. But if you need more time, take it. It's fine. We can wait. And breathe. Great. So a little thumbs up for those of you that are up. Legs and hips are feeling good. Yes. Lovely. So let's come on to our back then. So we're on hands and knees. We'll just start with this movement. Quite well known. Cat-cow position is a really good spine loosener, this one. But we're just going to start with the tail. So just concentrate on that tail area. We're going to take advantage of our warm hips. The tail is going up and down. And then we're going to bring that tail to round and round. As if instead of a tail you had a pencil and you were drawing a moon on a piece of paper behind you. And of course, as it loosens a bit more, you can make that picture a little bit bigger so you can start to spiral out. And of course, change direction. And then let's see if we can bring a picture now of a figure of 8. So the figure of 8's on the piece of paper behind you. So really think into that movement. And try to isolate it just to the tail and the pelvis and the hip. Try and keep the shoulders and the head still. And then you know how I like to finish this. So write your name. And if you've been doing yoga with me a while, you might just be getting into joined up writing by now. And when you finish, if you've got a really short name, do your surname. Anything 4 letters or less. And then we're going to sit back and just breathe in the child pose into that lower back area. We've just really worked it, really woken it up. Letting it join in with the relaxation that we felt in the hips and the legs. We're bringing from the earlier part of the class. so I think we're pretty much ready to bring that up the body next. So we're back onto our hands and knees with the tail going up, the tail going down, and now we're starting to ripple it up. Now, don't do it all at once. It's quite nice to just get the middle of the back participating first. So you feel that ripple come up to about the shoulder blades, and then it goes through the shoulder blades and up a bit towards the neck. Not quite in the neck yet. Head is fairly still for the moment. Feeling that breastbone going forwards and back. And then once you've got that a little bit warmed up, you can start to bring the head in. So to finish, we look up and we tuck the chin in. And you can see that once you start moving that head, it does change it a little bit. So it's why it's sometimes nice just to do a couple of moves without the head. And we're doing this as much as we need to start to feel that fluidity. We might start off a bit rusty, and then as we do a few, we find it improves. It's like you've oiled the spine. And again, when you have had enough, so everybody's different, just listen to your own body when you feel like, yeah, I've definitely had enough of this. Child pose is your recovery pose. So you're just again going to rest down in child pose and breathe there. Relax the shoulders. And you might notice as you breathe that unlike before, where the breath seemed to be very much in our lower back, very lower back, and now it's in most of the spine. And we will be doing some neck and shoulder stuff just to finish off in a little while. So if your neck felt a bit sore, then don't worry, help is coming. Let's bring this into a little reflex move for this area then. So we're going to kneel if kneeling is comfortable. If kneeling isn't comfortable, then you can do this sitting on a chair, on a block. You can put a block or a cushion underneath your legs. Just find a way. The most important thing is to have the hands on the lap. That's what we're looking for here. I'll go sideways. You can see. So with this reflex move, what you do is you pull your thighs towards you with your hands, and then you'll see that that creates that S shape of the cow pose. You're looking up, and then you let go of that pull, and it kind of unravels and becomes that C shape. Okay, so we're going to breathe in, we pull with the hands, and we let go. And come back to the C shape. So it's very similar to that cat-cow, only we're engaging the arms. And with this reflex, it's really interesting. This is the reflex that works your upper body strength, that integrates your upper body strength. So if you miss this stage out in childhood, and quite often, especially I find some ladies who lack upper body strength are often missing this reflex, because you can feel how the muscles engage as you pull and as you release. Okay, so let's make that a little bit more somatic now. So without so much movement and just the breath this time. So you're still feeling a slight pull with the hands. It's very slight. Maybe the hands are a little bit nearer to you. And as you breathe in, it's almost like the breath directs it. There's very little head movement. And as you breathe out, let go of that pull and see. So you're bringing it down to this more somatic level. Feel the engagement of the muscles rather than the movement of the body. And then, of course, feeling the release of the muscles. This is quite a strong reflex move, so look out. If you start to feel slightly nauseous or you get any strange tingling, hot flushes, usually in class I can spot it a mile away. I can see all the faces go flush. You see on the screen it's a little bit harder, so you're going to have to police it yourself. Do stop. You start to yawn excessively, that's another good sign. One of those uncontrolled yawns. And when you have finished, just bring yourself back to that sort of sitting position. And without moving, just follow the breath. Just for 2 or 3 breaths, just feel that as you breathe in, S shape. As you breathe out, without doing any movement, the body's doing it anyway. Really internalize that. And also, of course, as you breathe in, you've got that S shape. What have you got is a reach. And as you breathe out, a relaxation and letting go. Lovely. Yeah, so let's put this into a bit of practice and let's have a little bit of cross-legged position. So we're going to do a little bit of a twist first. Whichever leg you've got in front, we're going to bring the opposite hand to that knee. And then as you breathe in, instead of sort of bringing the arm behind immediately, we're going to raise it up in the air. And the idea here is to remind us of what we were doing earlier. So as you breathe in, you're reaching, but you're leaving your legs behind. So have a couple of breaths. There's also that S shape to C shape going on. And then in one of these, you're going to breathe in and reach. And as you breathe out, we're going to just bring the arm behind, looking over the shoulder. Close your eyes and pretend to look over the shoulder with your eyes. So you get that extra little bit of stretch. And now as you breathe, there's this little echo of S to C. And the letting go of the legs, the reaching of that breath in the S shape. What do you have to do to let your legs go a little bit more? Okay, so you know what comes next. So make the decision to move when you want to. Just remember to recross your legs. Bring them. Done. Starting with that arm lifted, just to get that sense of lift and release in the legs. It might not take you 2 breaths this time, kind of know what you're doing. That closing of the eyes and looking over the shoulder is a really nice, reflex move from when we've done left to right brain training. Letting the legs go, feeling the S shape, the lift of the spine. The C shape, the release, the sinking into that mat. So you come back to the middle, just have a sense of how your body is. Posture-wise, legs releasing, what's going on. Still a few more stretches before we lie down, but not many. We'll check in with the spine. So let's do a little sideward bend. options here. You don't have to have both legs out. If you don't want to, you can have one leg out and one leg in to see how that feels. Okay. Just a simple sideward bend today. So we're going to turn to face one leg and then slide the hand down as far as it will go. First things, before we even lift the other arm, let's drop those legs down into the earth. And then as you breathe in, feel the spine lengthening. And then this arm, this upper arm, is here to help us with that. So it's an extension of that lift. And releasing down. That slight S shape. And the C shape, the letting go. And as time passes, you might find that you can go a little bit more sideways to get a little bit more of a stretch. Or you might decide that you've had enough and you want to try the other side. If that's the case, use the arm to lift you upwards first. Just gives you that extra little bit of lift. And then we turn to face the other leg. Slide down. Again, remember to get the sense of sinking the legs and reaching with the spine and then making the arm an extension of that reach. Really trying to get those legs, those sitting bones to really sink down. Great. So we've just got a couple of more stretches. And this is just to really give the spine out and really got this movement in it, a little bit of a chance to stretch perhaps more than it would normally do. So we're going to come up onto our knees so that we're kneeling upright. Lots of different ways to do this. This is the adapted camel. I've got the hands at the back here. You can see they're really going to be supporting me. So I'm going to rest them on my pelvis there. Now, how far you do this is completely up to you. Okay, so you could just stay, not use the head at all, and just lean forwards and get that S shape that way. That's the very easy stage. If you want to work a bit harder, you look up and back. Now, even though you're in an S shape, what happens as you breathe in, you lengthen. It's already in your body language, so just feel that. And see how that feels. And then we're going to come into the C shape, which is, of course, our child pose. And in our child pose, we've got that real opportunity with the out breath, so really let everything. Lovely. So if you've happily done that, what we're going to do next again is just to have a little lie down and just feel again the change in the body from that work we've done on the spine. So just have a little lie down and just tune in to how does the body feel now? What's changed? How is my spine? Before we could just feel the warmth of the legs and the hips. Now what's different in the back? Perhaps you can just feel a warmth up the spine. Maybe it's a bit more dramatic than that, and it just feels as if the whole of the spine is melting into the floor. It might just be a little bit more comfortable than it was before. And because we're going to move into working with the neck and the shoulders, we're going to do a couple of little reflex moves here, lying down. So with this lovely, hopefully heavy body, the first move we're going to do is the head rock. So this is like the bottom roll, but for the head. So if you've not done this before, you might want to have a little peek look, but it's literally just saying no with your head, but very small movements. The body's still heavy, you haven't moved it, nothing's happened, hopefully. It's just stayed there, relaxing. And instead, the head is starting to get into a nice rhythm here. And as you're working, you can perhaps feel that as you do this little slight no movement, there's a little response happening in the shoulders and the neck. Tune into your hands, your feet. Relax the jaw. Soften the back of the throat a little. And of course, again, this is one of those reflex moves, can be quite strong for some of us. So listen out for any signs, signals that you want to stop. We are coming up towards the end of the 2 minutes now. Anyway, so if you haven't done so already, just bring that to stillness and observe the response in the body. Perhaps the shoulders and the arms are letting go a little bit. Perhaps the throat and the joint between the head is letting go a little bit. And as before, we want to remember this feeling. We want to integrate it, put it into the bank of sensations of the body that we want to be in a bit more. And when you're ready to move on from that reflex move, we're going to start with this other ATNR move, which is also for the neck and the head, where we've got, we did it earlier, where we've got one leg straight, one arm straight. When we rolled over, we did this. And we're going to turn our head to face that straight arm, the other side of the body. And then in one swift move, we're going to swap the legs and the arms and the head to the other side. So again, if you're not sure, just have a quick look. I'm doing it now, just swapping one side and to the other. And what I'm trying to do is try to coordinate it so the foot and the arm and the head all arrive at the same time, which is what actually makes this difficult to do. Most of us can do it in pieces, you know, the foot first, then the arm, then the head. But can we coordinate it? And again, we're getting into a rhythm. And that rhythm may or may not be tied in with your breath. And again, you're just working as many times as you feel you want to. Do remember the little bit slower has a little bit of a stronger effect neurologically. So slow it down a little bit and see how that feels. Don't forget the head turning, that's the one most people forget. You're facing into the straight arm as you finish. And again, just feel into your body as to when it feels like it wants to stop. We are about at the 2-minute mark. Again, just observing how the body responds to that. As it rests. So the finishing sequence before we go into relaxation tonight is going to be slightly different to normal. Do make sure you've got your blanket nearby. Just giving you that little heads up so you don't have to get up and get it in a minute. So instead of doing a bridge pose, we're going to do a stretch of the neck, which is slightly different. It's also a reflex move, this one. And we start with it lying down. Then I'll bring my hands and interlace the fingers to create a basket for my head to sort of land in. And then lifting the head off the floor, we're just going to make sure halfway up that the head is really resting in my hands. As much as I can make it rest in my hands. And then I'm going to start to lift my head as if it doesn't quite belong to my body and bring the chin in towards the clavicle, in towards the breastbone. As if I'm trying to look at my toes. But don't try and look at your toes because that will make you look up. You want the chin down, and you can feel this really lengthening in the back of the neck here, which often goes right down the spine too. And when you're at the very top of your stretch, at the very maximum point that you're going to go to, you might think about that little no that you were doing. It was loosening that head off the body. See if that helps to sort of create that remembrance of, yeah, my body's on the floor resting and my head is just slightly released from its hold there. When you've had enough of this stretch, try to place the head down in a way that, again, the head feels really heavy. So it's, again, just feeling slightly detached from the body. As you place it down on the floor, release the hands out from underneath you, let the arms go. And again, just observe the effect. It's quite strong on the shoulders, on the upper back. As the neck muscles begin to realize that they don't have to hold on to your head all the time. It's that little bit of Shivananda moment, just having seen, oh, all that work that we did with the neck there. Now it's for the upper body. The twist today is going to start on our side. We're just going to give a little bit more input into the shoulders. So again, if you don't know this, maybe you might want to observe. Just move the microphone out of the way of the camera. So we're palm to palm on our side, our knees are up, and we're reaching with this upper arm forwards and back. Forwards and back. We're just doing that a few times. Getting as much length as we can, so that final one, when we've reached as far as we can, we're going to reach up towards the sky, leaving the legs, the body, the arm exactly where they are, so they're resting on the floor, and then bringing that into the twist. And of course, initially the shoulder's going to be way up high off the floor, doesn't matter, just turn your head towards the arm and do your best to relax that shoulder joint there. And if it's really far away from the floor, you could bring a cushion here to bring it onto the ground. But the most important thing is to put the body down, put it down on the ground again. Let's see how many breaths you can manage there. When you want to come out of that, bring the knees up and center the body back onto the floor for a moment. You'll notice the difference between the two sides. And then we'll roll over to our side to start the same thing on the other side. So I'm just going to turn around so again you can see. On my side, knees are up, and I've got palm upon palm, and I'm reaching and coming back, reaching and coming back, reaching and coming back. 2 or 3 or 4 of those. The final one that you reach as far as you can, and you reach up, 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 leaving the rest of the body lying on the floor exactly where it is. Focus up on the candle. Relax the arm, turn the head to face that arm, and do your best to put the body down. Even with this position, when you breathe in, there's that slight reach and opening up of the spine with that S shape. And letting go of the body, dropping down into the earth, C shape. I'm just going to take as many breaths as you want to come out of this. Again, you're just going to lift the knees up. You can finish up on your back. And again, just have a moment here. The shoulders and the upper back are getting a really nice bit of input here. And it's worth giving it the time it deserves. Just looking at what needs to release. Almost there to the relaxation. This one is optional. It's very good for changing the chemistry of the body. If you don't have to do it, you might think, oh, my shoulders are too relaxed, I don't really want to put any strain on them, but we've got the fish pose next, so the legs are out. In front, we're going to push through the elbows, opening out that thyroid. Remember, the head doesn't have to come off the floor. Just putting that lovely S shape, and as you breathe, there's still that slight reach. You can let the legs relax completely if you want to. When you come out, all you need to do is roll the chin in. Again, just let the body go into the floor. And so again, optional, you might find that you really don't want to move anymore. But there is a little knee bend rock available here to finish off with if you want to. So again, just to describe for those of you that don't know what it is, soles of the feet are on the floor. The body is so heavy and so jelly-like, it's going to feel, hopefully, not too difficult. And maybe every cell in your body will feel like it's taking part. It's a nice, easy movement. Obviously, when you first start doing it, it doesn't feel so easy, but that's what you're working towards, where it's effortless, rhythmical. We've done quite a lot of reflex moves, all sorts of different types today, so the system might be a little bit overworked. So look out for any sensation that tells you to stop. It means it's done its job. If you feel that come in, I'm just going to straighten out the legs and observe what happens in the body. Of course, being a reflex move, the body will quite nicely and automatically begin to let go. That's allowing yourself to tune into your breath. Getting the slight reach of the spine as you breathe in. And as you breathe out, feeling the body begin to rest, letting go into the floor. See how easily it slips into relaxation. As you breathe in into the hips and the legs and the feet, feeling all the input that we've given into this area of the body today. And how, as a result, it feels easy for the toes and feet to relax. Feels easy for the calves and the shins, the thighs and the hips, to just let go into the floor, sink into the warm earth. Feeling all the input that we gave into the spine. Those breaths of S to C still coursing through us. And the support of the earth for the body as you breathe out into that slight C shape. Remembering the sensation that we had in the shoulders. The upper back, the lower back, the back of the pelvis, so that the whole of your torso is relaxing. The shoulders, arms and hands heavy by your sides. Hands and arms are relaxing. About that work and that release that we felt in the back of the neck and throat and the join with the head. How we felt the head heavy and slightly detached from the body. The muscles for once could just let go for a minute. So that the neck and the throat and the jaw are relaxing. And the muscles on the face are just like a blanket draped over the skull. Face expressions. The top of the head, the scalp, also letting go of its hold. Face and head and neck and throat. Just relaxing. Letting go of that usual hold. Face and head and neck and throat. Shoulders, arms and hands. Shoulder blades. Upper back, lower back. Back of the pelvis and the hips. The legs and the feet, the whole body is relaxing. Sinking into the earth. Reaching down towards the ground with each out breath. And as you breathe in, it's as if the relaxed body were expanding slightly upwards, filling up with life force energy, opening itself up towards the sun and the sky. And as you breathe out, resting, letting go and opening itself out, sinking and surrendering into the earth. Breathing in, feeling the slight reach of the body upwards, expansion. And breathing out, and surrender. And then perhaps from time to time able to feel both of these sensations simultaneously. That slight reach towards the sun, the expansion, and a sense of release and relaxation. As you let go into the floor a little bit more. Both sensations felt simultaneously. Maybe tied in with the breath, maybe not. Just allowing your breathing to once again become the focus of your attention. Perhaps feeling that slightly deeper breath come in. And of course, you're at home, so you could just stay lying there if you wish. If you feel like you want to move a little, start that movement with your fingertips and toes. So enjoying this last few seconds of relaxation before you roll over onto your spine.